The impression of the game you get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea. He deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word court today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Curry. Curry leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it hard.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello, and you're very welcome to Treaty Talk. It is Tom Clancy here for episode 340. And just before we start this week's podcast, delighted to say that in association with our sister company, streamsport.ie, the official streaming partner to Limerick GA, we have a competition for those of you interested in watching many of the games across Gaelic games in Limerick. Simple competition, very simple to enter, and the prize will be with two stream passes up for grabs for a lucky viewer, lucky listener. So all you have to do to get involved is answer a very simple question: who are the reigning Limerick Senior Hurling Championship champions? Okay, so just put it in the comments, whatever platform you're watching on or listening on, just put a reply in the comments and you will be in the competition to win one of two streaming passes. And just to mention, this weekend coming, which is the August Bank Holiday weekend, there was 4 games being streamed on Limerick GA TV in association with streamsport.ie. That is, namely, on Thursday night, Kilmallock versus Patrick Swell. There's a double header on Friday evening with Mungret St. Paul's meeting Newcastle West, and a double header's on Saturday with Ballybrown versus Ahan and Doon versus the PIHC. So 4 games to get your teeth into. If you want to get involved in terms of winning it, just pop the answer to the question I asked below, and you can subscribe for a game pass or indeed a season pass. Just search Limerick GA TV. Okay, so you're very welcome to Treaty Talk, episode 340. Tom here, joined by Matt O'Callaghan, who of course writes for the Weekly Observer and Vale Star newspapers. Matt, how's all? You were another busy man last weekend, getting to a whole host of games. You were enjoying it all?
Oh yeah, Tom, I'm absolutely enjoying it. Having missed a share of the inter-county scene, it's great to be back on one's feet, you know. And it was like a dream, Tom. I just had to pinch myself when I saw the fixtures for last weekend. 4 games, 4 different evenings, got to see them all. Have seen everybody now in the Premier Intermediate Championship at least once. So it was a great start. And, you know, there was good passages of hurling in the games. Maybe there was a bit of a surprise or two here and there. You know, I think possibly the manner in which Croke Kilfinny transitioned from intermediate to Premier Intermediate was indeed very laudable, and they look certainly as if they will not be in any way lost in their new surroundings. And I, you know, being parochial, I was very pleased with Glenroo's performance. That they came on here, beating Grennan Ballingarry, who trounced them last year, and they seem to be much improved this year and much regrouped. Then there was Blackrock. It was a small bit of a surprise, Tom, I think, that they beat Bruff, and the manner in which they beat him, and they beat him by 8 points in the finish, or 7 points in the finish, but I don't think anybody could see it coming, and certainly at half-time you couldn't have seen it coming, because Bruff were turning over a point down with whatever slight, it was only a slight breeze at that stage, but it was a breeze, but I'm not so sure that it was one that would impact on the game. And then when Bruff got 2 points immediately after half-time, you would say that they're on their way, but nobody had told Blackrock, and Richie McCarthy, I think, turned back the clock. You know, he was back into his favourite full-back position, and he put in a performance, you know, a typical Richie McCarthy performance, top class, and, you know, organised the defence around him, and Bruff found it very, very hard to get a breakthrough. Colm O'Keefe had a very good game for Blackrock. He got a goal and 5 points. And if you ask me, Tom, who was the best team of the 8 that I've seen, and you've seen him, I think, you've seen him at first hand. It was on Saturday night. I thought Garrisplan looked very, very good. And
it did, yeah. There's no getting away from that, yeah.
There's no getting. Our guest in a minute now might disagree, but we'll take that as it comes. But I was really disappointed, Tom, with the performance of South Liberties, who were just down from senior ranks.
Yeah. Just one sec, Matt. We have a man waiting in the wings, I think, Mr. Donie Ryan. So I'm going to bring him in now live, touching down. Bit better technologically advanced this time. Donie, how's the farm?
Boys,
How are you doing?
boys, I'm good. Can you hear me?
We can. You're live.
Matt, how are you? Can you hear me good there, Tom? Yeah.
We
I'm
can.
good. You must have heard what I was saying about you. And you're
All I
going
can
to.
say, Matt, is anyway, before we go any further, I have to go back to the last night that I had the 2E in front of me. There was an all-merciful shock when I disappeared off the face of the earth. So I got a massive heap of calls in Texas. So I got a lot of texts and calls. What did Matt O'Callaghan actually do or say to Donie to get rid of him so fast?
Oh no!
So,
all I asked you was why you were turning out. Why you were turning out for the Masters?
We're back. We're back live, Matt. We're back. I done a serious work on technology. I feel like an air pilot this evening. Now I'm ready to go.
Good man. You're not the man in the van anymore, so you're the man with the plan here now.
No, I had to get out of the van.
Yeah, Donie, we're gonna chat club action in a minute, but I suppose since
we were just saying, Donie, before you came in, that we were just after doing a reprise of the 4 games, and I said on Saturday night we saw the best team in the competition, namely Garrisplan.
Oh Jesus, Matt. That's a bad start to a pod anytime you start a pod. Yeah, to be fair to our fellas, Matt, look, you're watching us there for the last 2 years, right? Potentially our fellas have it turned up on Saturday night, played well. So Liberties were off a small bit. But as anyone knows, this Premier Intermediate Championship is a fair one to win, I can tell you.
Oh, it is, and like you needn't go any further than the game in Knocklong on Sunday night. You know, when Blackrock got the better of Bruff, and the manner in which they got the better of Bruff as well. You know, like most people would have been tipping.
Matt. Unbelievable.
Like most people would have been saying Bruff were going to win that, and but it didn't happen. Like Blackrock put in a tremendous second half, you know.
Unbelievable. It was actually on in Knocklong, Matt, on Sunday night. There was an absolutely unbelievable crowd of people at it. At half time, people were telling me Bruff would probably turn it over in the second half. But to be fair to Blackrock, they put in some second half performance.
They did, absolutely. You know, I was just saying to Tom here that Richie McCarthy had a great game. He turned back the clock.
Yes, we're going again.
Yeah, we're having a small bit of difficulty with you there, Donie. 1 second now. See, can we reconnect him? But Matt, just that championship, obviously, it's obviously 7 rounds, and maybe that's why Donie's not getting too excited. It's the 7, you know, the 8 teams, 7 rounds. So there's a lot of hurling still to be played yet, Matt.
There's a lot of hurling, and you know, it's a marathon, and we know from experience since its very inception in 2014, Tom, that on the day anybody can beat anybody, and but like it's a competition that never stops giving, and Donie is right there in what he said. There was an absolutely huge crowd in Knocklong on Sunday night. Like it's a competition, Tom, that players, mentors, managers, the public have bought into it lock, stock and barrel right from the start. And it makes it a very, very special competition. Like, you know, the crowd that was in Knocklong on Sunday night, like, and looking back over the 4 games, Tom, and you were at about 3 of them, I'd say, were you?
You were at 2 of them,
anyway. You know, they were marked by decent crowds.
They were. There was a fine crowd in Bruff, and you could see could see people from different clubs at the grade, and even from senior clubs. I met people coming in, and that was in Bruff. Like, everyone wanted to catch a glimpse. It was probably the only show in town last weekend, which obviously would have helped the crowds. But the grade as well, Matt. Interesting to note, Croke Kilfinney's first game at the grade ever, and the same for South Liberties. Obviously, when South Liberties were last intermediate, there was only one intermediate grade. So
that's all. They were last intermediate in 2009 when they won the county, and they won the Munster clubs that year.
That's right, yeah. So they've been senior ever since. So I suppose it might take them a while to get used to the attritional nature of this championship. It is it literally is a different format, and there's a different dynamic to it than the senior grade. So I suppose they'll be hoping Saturday was a bit of a one-off, and they'll turn over a new leaf from there.
They will be hoping, but when the draws were when the scheduling of the fixtures was made, I suppose the last one, that if you come down and you want to get off to a good start, the last team you'd want to face is possibly the runners-up of the previous year, because they will be coming with a mission. They will be coming to make a statement, and that's exactly what Garris-Ballan did. Because I know it rankles with Garris-Ballan, and Donie, if he was there now, I'm sure would agree with me. It rankles with them that they didn't do themselves justice in last year's county final. Now, it was a poor county final, from a hurling point of view, but a great result for Newcastle West. But there is a sense in Garris-Ballan that they didn't do themselves justice on that particular day. So, obviously, from the start of this year, they're out to right the wrong, as it were. And coming up against them now, like... In fairness, Tom, the South Liberties, for the most part, were overwhelmed. They've got to turn it around quickly now, because they're going to be facing, at the weekend, they're going to be facing Granaballangary. Now, Granaballangary, after losing the two first rounds last year, really found their feet in the competition and came to the precipice of qualifying for the knockout stages, only losing out in the knockout stages and the head-to-head. In other words, they won 4 of the last 5 games, they've carried it over with a first-round win this year, and they had to dig it out because Glenroe led for most of the game.
Yeah, now just to cut across you again, Matt, I think we have Donie back landed. His Wi-Fi hopefully will hold up a bit better this time. But just before we bring Donie back in, let's just take a look at the I suppose the game-killing goal from the Bouncers' win over South Liberties at the weekend.
16 points to 9. Coming up to 19 minutes played in the second half. Delivery from O'Shea. It's a great take from Flanagan. And going through, hand pass inside. Maybe a goal chance for Heavey this time. And that's in the back of the net.
Now, Donie's back in the house. Donie, that was a nice way to get you over the line a bit at the weekend, wasn't it?
It was a good time to come back into there, Tom. It was a nice little cameo there for you to show. Myself and Matt was actually on the sideline with us there. He saw all the excitement there. Up to that point, look, we were 3 or 4 points up at all stages throughout the match, but look, that goal obviously killed it off. As I said on Saturday night, South Liberties probably didn't play as good as they probably can, but we did play as good as we had hoped we could play. We have a lot of work put into this, Tom, the last 5 or 6 months. Obviously, the disappointment last year. So, look, it's good to get off to a start, but there's a long road ahead of us.
But we were just saying there, Donie, while you were aware, that the defeat in the county final last year still rankles in Garris-Ballan, because they felt on the day they didn't do themselves justice.
100%, Matt, 100%. I would say 1,000 times since that county final. The result actually did look. We've been around a long time in the game of hurling. The result actually didn't affect us. The final result didn't affect us on the day. It was the performance. We felt we'd prepared really well going into it. Our semi-final performance was quite good. But on the day, in the semi-final or in the final against Newcastle West, now to be fair to Newcastle West, hats off to them. They fully deserved their victory on the day, and it's really intriguing for us, Matt, that they're starting their senior campaign on Saturday night, and we're actually going to be following their campaign as well, because it's interesting to see. Normally, the Premier Intermediate Championships champions struggle when they go up, so it's going to be really interesting for us to see how Newcastle West. They were slightly better than us last year, so we're just intrigued to see how they'll get on in the senior ranks this year.
Yeah, but I was just saying to Tom also that somebody like South Liberties coming down, it wasn't the ideal first round fixture for them, to be facing a team with a mission,
Well, Matt, most definitely we weren't ideal from because
7 goals, I think, the last time,
yeah.
They sent you down, literally, if anyone doesn't remember,
Yeah, we were in a dare on a famous Friday night behind under lights. And look, they gave us a waffle trounce on the same night. There's no point in saying it. But look, I was saying it to a couple of South Liberties boys all week. I played South Liberties a lot of times in my career. Always found them very difficult to beat. The last time we played them, they done a fair hammering job on us. So look, they can't begrudge us this. We needed this one. We wanted this one. And as Tom was pointing out, the 7 there, maybe look, scoring 7 goals is not a good idea in the match before you want to go on and play the next one. 7 goals seems to be a kind of a bad sign for a team going forward.
What are you referencing there, Donie?
I'm only saying that when we were small boys, we were always told, take your points, the goals will come. So you need to keep a couple of goals. You need to keep a couple of goals, Tom, for the day you'll actually want them.
Yes, indeed. I think what you're referring to there, Donie, if anyone hadn't got the hint, was the All-Ireland Championship. Now, I know, Matt, you weren't with us the week after. It was John Kyoto filled in for you, so I haven't really discussed the All-Ireland final. Obviously, we're disappointed in Limerick in how the year finished out, but look, we had basically been in every semi-final since 2018, so I suppose beggars that we were back then can't be choosers now, as they say. Were you surprised with how the All-Ireland final turned out, Tony, for Tipperary and for Cork?
Well, it was a very tricky one for us now, Matt. You were actually texting me after the semi-finals and you were kind of checking in on me to make sure that I was okay. Really stuck between a rock and a hard place between Tip and Cork. Look, at the end of the day, the spin we were after being on was unbelievable. When you started out at the start of this year, I had honestly felt that we were good enough to take another. I thought this year we were going to take another All-Ireland. Obviously, it finished the way we hadn't intended it, but the 2 teams that ended up in the All-Ireland final was probably the worst of 2 evils, I suppose. And whatever way the result went for us at the end of the day, we weren't going to be celebrating one way or the other. So, look, what can we really say, Only? An unexpected result to the All-Ireland Championship in 2025 and the half-time turnaround really made the unexpected result for us, what the way it turned out.
Yeah, so maybe for the likes of yourself and anyone else down in that corner of Limerick, as you say, you're not a million miles from either border there, and you get it every which way when things aren't going well for Limerick. Probably puts a bit of fuel in the fire now for Limerick heading into 2026, because next door neighbours winning anything is never good,
No, never good. Unbelievable. We're actually situated. We're about 500 yards from the Tip border. I'm only about 3 or 4 miles from the Cork border. I have massive connections in both counties. Woeful rivalries built up, and the suffering we done for 45 years, and we were really in the heart of it. Both of them were a lot of the reason we done a lot of our suffering. So really finding it difficult to really support either of the home.
Are they still buying the milk off you in Cork there?
Look, in fairness to Dairy Gold, I suppose it is a bit like we're never satisfied in the dairy community. So unless Dairy Gold are going to double the price of them, I ain't going to forgive them for a long time.
Right. But getting back to the All-Ireland there, Tom, whilst Limerick went out, it was a shock result, and I suppose probably the shock result of the last 30 or 40 years in the championship, and they just failed on the day. But Cork's second half collapse it's just inexplicable. But if you look at Cork's record in the championship, Tom, they had a similar collapse in the first round against Clare. They had a complete collapse in the group stage against Limerick. And now it was the third collapse in 7 games?
That's right, yeah. No, you're right there, yeah. And they
So, what the reason for it is, I don't know. But if you look at their record in the competition, drew with Clare, lost to Limerick, failed to beat Limerick in the Munster final, and then got a trouncing from Tipperary in the All-Ireland final. Beat Tipperary, beat a 14-man Tipperary in the group stages.
And then trounced Dublin in the semi-final, to be fair, as well.
Yeah. Now,
the only thing is, Matt, Tom, is if you're looking for scenarios, right, you're 6 points up in an All-Ireland final, right? There isn't much more Cork could have really done in the first half. Okay, it was probably jittery. They weren't flowing as good as they could have, but they were 6 points up. I was actually up at the match and they got the goal just before half time. I felt myself like an awful lot of Cork people that score now is probably going to be the one that's going to turn it over. The thing for me is, from a Cork point of view, is it's very difficult to see how they're going to be in as good a position coming. Like, they have a fair road back. Now, as you said, Matt, about the Munster Championship, that was probably the false thing for Cork going into the final. Was in all the matches all year, there was parts of the matches that they did hit a lull. Matt went back to the 14-day Tipperary match. In the second half there, Cork only scored 7 or 8 points against Tipperary, I think. Yeah. In the first half of that match, Tipper a man down, they created 2 or 3 goal-scoring chances. They didn't take them, but they created them. Like, and while Cork were flowing, there was never a full, as Matt said, there was never a full 70-minute performance in them all throughout the year. And I presume, look, I'm presuming, right? We were all in this position. We were beating All-Ireland finals. It's not a nice place to be. But at half-time, there probably was a small bit of foot off the gas. They probably did feel, I felt it myself, I felt that they had enough done. I thought they'd see it out 10 minutes into the second half. They'd see out the match, and I thought they would hit for home. But Jesus, Matt, I don't think anyone suspected what was in front of us.
Well, one thing that was in front of them coming out after half-time, if you did detailed analysis of the first half, it was that Tipperary missed a lot of chances, scoreable chances in the first half. And 6 points at half-time, whilst, it's a decent lead in an All-Ireland final. But it was a flattering lead, because it was Tipperary that really missed the chances.
It was. It looked like the goal before halftime was flattering. If the teams had went in at halftime, it probably would have been a better reflection of the match. The only thing that I was intrigued at, look, I was above at the match. The only thing that I was intrigued with Cork throughout the whole match was they never changed system. They never changed to suit the Tipperary way. To be fair to Tip, Liam Cahill went to Dublin. He had a plan. He was going to stick to this plan. He played a +1 at the back, and he couldn't afford to change, because he couldn't afford to let the backs be opened up. And Cork played the same game for the full 70 minutes. That was the most astounding thing of the whole lot. And it was just, Matt, go back to the goal before half-time. Pat Horgan ran in and had a confrontation with the goalie. That's not Hoggy's style. To be fair to him, that's not their style. Hoggy he's a serious ball player. He was one of the best that ever played it. And he had a confrontation with the goalie, and it wasn't their style.
But it shouldn't have happened, though, Donie.
No, it shouldn't. Definitely.
You get a goal immediately after half-time. The half-time whistle is blown. You head as quick as you can for the dressing room, not being involved in an altercation with the goalkeeper,
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree 100% with you, Matt, 100%. But it's not there. That was the thing for me. It wasn't their style. It was something that shouldn't have happened, 100%. They had, like, Cork had Tip had the plus man played in the first 35 minutes. And Cork still had 116 scored. It was fair scoring against the +1. Like, it was fair scoring. They had only 13 points conceded. So it was just a turnaround. And, like, you were talking about being good managers or lucky managers. If the thing had continued the way it was, and if Cork had scored 116 in the second half and Tip had scored 10 points, Liam Cahill would have been killed for playing the +1, playing the sweeper. He would have been killed for it in Tipperary.
Yeah. But I'm just wondering, and I've wondered since, were Dublin as much the undoing of Cork as they were of Limerick? In that they gave them no test in the semi-final after Cork being without a game for a month. Like, it wasn't ideal going into an All-Ireland final with your only game against a 7-goal rout of Dublin. I don't think that was proper preparation for a final. No, there was nothing they could do about that.
100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree with you, Matt. I would disagree with you slightly. Was there something they could have done with it? Maybe put the game to bed early on, and maybe not gone for as many goals. Maybe, like, they showed Tipperary in the semi-final what they were actually trying to do going forward. So they actually forced Liam Cahill. They forced Liam Cahill's hand in going away in the 2 or 3 weeks to find a game plan to stop conceding goals. So they probably showed a small bit too much, if you ask me.
They should have. Yeah, I know it's easy to say no. They probably should have just got up to like Limerick did, 32 points and whatever amount of goals. Yeah.
we'd be some experts after now. That's the only problem for me, is we'd be great boys after the match.
2020 vision. Donny, just to bring it back to the Limerick point of view, overall, you have to say it was a disappointing season. The league was poor results wise, and there was no real form. The Munster Championship, while the net result was a loss, okay, it wasn't an overall bad Munster performance. Drew with Tip, beat Waterford, and then beat Cork, lost to Clare in a dead rubber, and then lost the Munster final. But that Dublin game, just the last game of the season for anyone will define it. A bit like yourself with Gary Spillane last year, all that good spade work done beforehand just undoes it very, very quickly, and that's how we look back at this Limerick year. It was just a disappointing, underwhelming season.
100% agree with you, Tom. And even go back to the league campaign, even Limerick didn't have a good league campaign in 2025. That'll be all hurt on John Kiley, his backroom team. I'm pretty certain, look, there's probably a few bits and pieces put in place already for 2026. And I would be thinking that the league would probably be his starting foundation. We beat Cork inside in the Gaelic grounds in the round robin. And the stats don't lie. We lost 3 matches after. We were beat by Clare. We lost the Munster final, albeit a penalty shootout, and we lost to Dublin. You lost your last 3 championship matches. That's not championship winning form, and you know what I mean. So look, to be fair to Johnny's backroom team, they're indenting we can say or do is going to tell he knows all this already. So I'm pretty certain that he's definitely, and I guarantee you one thing. I bet you John and all these boys are looking forward to this challenge in 2026. The fact that Tipperary won the All-Ireland Championship in 2026. Look at 2025. Look what 2026 opens up already. The Munster Championship is going to be, Jesus, lads, already even, it's exciting to be even looking at it even, and we're probably 7 or 8 or 9 months out from it. But it's just exciting to be facing into it. You've the All-Ireland champions this year, the All-Ireland champions last year, Munster champions, league champions this year, and the 4 in a row champions. So if Waterford can throw a spanner in the works, Jesus, the Munster Championship is going to be some. And sure, Tom, look, the facts don't lie. Look at the crowds that's turning out. The boys in Munster are absolute. So it's fantastic. It's fantastic from our point of view.
No, it is, and look, with Limerick, we can kind of ignore the fact that they did 6 in a row because of how this year ended. But I mean, to have done 6 in a row at a time when Clare have come to the table with something special, Cork have come as well. Tipperary were okay up and down in those years, but we're always thereabouts. And as you say, Waterford are always capable maybe of throwing a spanner in works. I think it's gone underappreciated what Limerick have done. And as you said there, a penalty shootout has cost them the chance of 7 in a row. A phenomenal 6-7 seasons.
To be fair,
go on, Donnie.
To be fair, Tom, to all your listeners, the hundreds of thousands you have out listening to there, I would have given my left arm for 1 Munster Championship medal. So we cannot. You're definitely right. We cannot disregard the fact that this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. So to hit 6 in a row is will it be done again? Will it be done again? Or who's the team that's going to do it? It looks as if
we could be waiting a long while.
Difficult for someone to do it. So
well,
you could.
Last word on Dublin there, Tom. That's the 3rd time they've beaten us in the championship in a row. 2011, 2015, and 2024. I know, you know about statistics and all that sort of a thing, but they're beginning to become a bit of a bogey team.
You're dead right, Matt. The facts, that is the stat. You're dead right. Three matches in a row they was turned up. So
lucky we didn't play them on we didn't play them during any of the 4 in a row because they might have been the ones to scupper.
If you remember, and at the height of our powers, a National League game above in Kilkenny, National League semi-final.
2019.
They gave us one hell of a fright as well.
A fact, 100%, yeah. 100%.
Oh, look, Dublin. I don't think they're there yet, but I mean they've certainly shown this year that they have something among them. Donnie, I suppose back to the Limerick point of view. We're talking club championship now, and obviously the senior thrown in this weekend, and probably 70 or 80% of the Limerick panel are in that grade. I suppose hopefully the break from intercounty action and that bit of a separation maybe from the game for a while might do them no harm, and I'd say we'll be seeing some youth performances this weekend and deeper into the championship. It should hopefully feed into an electric senior hurling championship this season.
I definitely think so, Matt. Yeah, the break. In fairness, as you said about the 5 or 6 there in the last couple of years, they've gone straight from the end of July into the early August. This year they've had a full month, 5 or 6 weeks of a break. So I would definitely think that the county players are really, really looking forward to this weekend. Just throwing the shackles off and getting out there and horse away with your club there, sure. And look, to be fair to them, what they've gone through for the last 7 or 8 years, the spin they have given us as the supporters, even like to get out this weekend now. Matt, Tom, you saw it yourselves last weekend. The people are crying out for these matches. The crowds that were out last weekend we were blessed with the weather. It was fantastic, but like the crowds want to see this thing. This is fantastic what we're facing into. And Jesus, there's a bonanza hurling on this weekend. It's on in all corners of the county. So I would be thinking people are just stone mad to get out, and they will definitely. And to go back to last weekend, I see the county boys that played. To be fair to him, after the match, Barry Nash, not an easy thing to do. He got a fair few clatters now, to be fair to him. He had fair scares of battle.
You didn't spare him.
No, but sure, at the end of the day, we've all been in that boat, and you got to go after big boys. That's why you're a big boy, because you've been able to take it. You can give it, but you've been able to take it. To be fair to him, he stayed on the field after the match. I thought it was a fair sign of the man, and he met anyone that wanted to meet him. The young people, and it wasn't just the South Liberties youngsters. To be fair, the youngsters in Garspillane asked me, would Barry Nash meet him? And he stayed around. It's a fair sign. Like, you're after being bait, obviously. You want to get going, but these boys are thinking of the bigger picture, to be fair to them. And look, from our own point of view, even me looking in, it's great to see these fellas up close and personal. But it's only, Matt, when you get to see them close and personal, you realise the physique, the size of these boys like that. So I'd be thinking that all the county boys are really looking forward to getting going with their club this starting Thursday night with a nice little bit of a starter there in Newcastle West. I'd say it will be fairly hot back there.
Yeah,
but like Barry Nash now he's really typical of this squad, and he's typical of a squad, and this is why the squad are great in that the way they carry themselves as hurlers, first of all, and secondly as men. But one thing that I have noticed, a common theme since Limerick broke through in 2018, the way the county players transitioned to club hurling. And when they won the All-Ireland in 2018, they had only 10 days to do it and transitioned. And the manner and the type of performances that they turned out for their clubs were absolutely phenomenal. Like, if you went into a game and you knew nothing and you were told there was 2 county players playing there, you know, you'd pick them out.
Yes. And Matt, that's the way we want it. When I go back to 20, when I was starting off playing club hurling, right, the county boys, you'd always pick them out in the matches, and you were told they were the men to look out for, right? So it became your turn then. But we were told when we were starting out in Garryspillane, it's a shop window for any young fella playing at the moment, right? The beauty in the club championship in 2025 is I am pretty certain that John Kiley is definitely looking for a few players. He's looking for new talent. He's looking for someone to throw a curveball and say, pick me for the Limerick senior team in 2026. And that is the beauty of the club championship at the moment. Every fella can show his talent, and that's all I'd be encouraging all the young fellas is. This is a shop window for any fella to go out, and no better way to get your name out around the public than Tom Clancy or Matt O'Callaghan talking about you the week after that this fella put in a performance, and if you can back that up consistently with your club, John Kiley, he will definitely have a look. He'll have a look at you.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point, and you're right. It's probably it's probably the first year in many where people can genuinely say to themselves that door has to be open for if I'm good enough. Because other years, because it was such a winning ticket, it's very hard to see who will get in. Now, in fairness, John did still give chances to younger players as well, and always threw in a few new faces at the start of the year. But this year, I think more than any in the last 7 or 8 years, this is the chance now for someone to say, do you know what? I should be on that panel, and I'm going to put up my hand. We saw in Tipperary, like Robert Doyle. There's a few more like that. Just a little bit left the field. It wouldn't have been, the greatest minor or 20s players for Tip, and suddenly he's an All-Ireland winner starting.
No, Tom, I just want to jump across you there, right? I'm not getting rid of the old fellas now either, because Ronan Maher and John McGrath proved there might be a spot. Now, I'm probably a bit too old myself for it, but there's probably a spot there for. Don't get rid of all the old fellas just yet, to be fair to them. So it's a great opportunity, and just every fella, when you go back and play with your club, look, it's the greatest field game in the world, right? You get an opportunity to play with your club. It's a great opportunity, and any fella that wants to grab the bull by the horns, he will most definitely get plenty chances to say that I can put my hand up to play this. So look, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
It is.
I just want to take Donie up on one point there, Tom, and he's a very well made point about Ronan Maher, John McGrath, Jake Morris, Jason Ford, leaders.
Yes.
Where were the leaders on the Cork team?
Yeah, well, it most definitely looks that way at this stage. To be fair to Tipperary, they really stood up. They really stood up. When we were going back in Garrisballan 20 years ago, Tony Considine came in and he had one great saying whenever our backs were to the wall. And it was only afterwards I realised what Gerald Loughnane brought it into the Clare dressing room. At half time when things are going bad, all that you say to him going out the door was, men are needed now. And to be fair to the Tip fellas, obviously Liam Cahill must have touched on it somewhere. But like, I was at the match, right? And to be fair, I thought, if I was picking the man of the match in the orders, I thought Darren McCarthy, John McGrath, Willie Connors. I thought them boys were all exceptional. They were exceptional. But when we came home and we watched the match back, I have to tip a hat to Ronan Maher. I thought the man was absolutely... No, Cork played slightly into his barrow, but you still have to do it, like. And Jesus, like, you talk about... Matt is on about a leader, like. Look at this fella, like, this man, this is what you call a leader, like, you know. And Matt, a question for you, Matt. In the 2 All-Ireland finals, the 2 captains to get the 2, it must be unusual for the 2 captains to get the 2 man of the matches in the football as well. So it definitely has to be an unusual stat.
I saw an interesting bit of footage there in one of the social media things. It showed the first 13 seconds of the football final, and McCall was getting to know
David Clifford,
David Clifford, while Gavin White was cutting in on the left and setting up Dylan Kennedy for a point, you know.
Yeah, and that really set the tone for the whole day. So that just set the tone. So
instead of concentrating on what he should be doing.
Yeah, no, you're right, Tony. I'd say it's very unusual that the 2 captains. I saw that question posed on Sunday evening when it was announced that the Kerry captain was man of the match, but I hadn't seen an answer to say it happened in X year or Y year. Maybe it's never happened, you know. And but look, two leaders drove their teams forward at every opportunity, and like no surprise. I think the Kerry one might be still picked as the club champion, but in Tipperary, I think the management picks it. So. No surprise that Ronan Maher.
And if you want to take it a step further, then Matt, about the leaders, right? You go back to the club championship this weekend. You look at the senior championship in particular, right? All the big clubs, every one of them, you can name their leaders now. You can name them, like, you know, Doona County champions, like Dara Donovan had a year last year, exceptional club year last year. Like, what a leader! Like
absolutely.
Adam English giving him a hand on the left hand side. You go to the PIHC, like, the PIHC are full of leaders. They're all over the field, like, you know what I mean? You come to Kilmallock, then like Graham Mulcahy still hurling there. What a leader to have, like, you know what I mean? You come to Partick Swell, like, you the 3 boys. So it's fantastic, and it comes back to your point, Matt. Whoever will win the senior championship in Limerick this year, their leaders will be to the fore, and that's a guaranteed fact.
Like the performances of Darragh O'Donovan, not just in the knockout stages of the championship last year, but right through the championship from day one, was just simply phenomenal. And like, it gave us a great sense of what Limerick had lost during the summer of 2024 when they were without him.
Yeah, the injury. He actually never came back 100% from his injury, but he had a serious club campaign. And if you look at it last year, what everything had done, the training they'd done, the effort they'd put in, Derek McGrath was with him. They still only won the county final by 1 point.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you still need that small bit of luck to get you over the line. You'll still need that small bit of luck.
Yeah, and Donie, for just looking at the Doon angle, I think 20 years ago you were in this position. Was it 20 years ago you were defending your one and only title? Obviously, you didn't manage it. It's a different dynamic for Doon now. I think Darragh Donovan joked last year, or someone from Doon joked last year that they weren't part of the Big Four because they hadn't won it.
Yes.
Now, I put it back
that
to
was Darragh.
Yeah, that they are now part of the Big Four. They've been in all those semi-finals and finals in the last 10 years nearly.
Yes.
And now they have the Daily Cup in their hands. So the challenge for them now is to see how they can rise themselves again. And, you know, there's a target on their back this year is what I'm trying to say.
100% agree with you. The only thing I'll say to you from the Doon point of view is they have minors, they have numerous minors, and 2021s had won in the last, while they haven't won one in the last 2 or 3 years, for the previous 10 or 15 years before that, they were always competitive in it. So their range of player is a lovely age profile now, right? To take it a step further, then, when they'd won the county final last year, they went into Ballygunner, and they should have took Ballygunner turned up the Sunday after the county final. So maybe we're questioning, can Doon retain their county title? If you're a Doon man, you're probably asking yourself, can we win a Munster club title? So that's the beauty from a Doon point of view. So look, obviously there'll be a tag on their back, but no question. The PIHC carried it superbly, so they were able to retain it. From my own personal point of view, I do believe Doon are probably slightly favourites to retain it, but to retain it, they will need Richie English, Barry Murphy, Adam English, Pat Ryan, and most definitely Dara Donovan. They will need all of them. To go back to 2006, the reason we didn't win the county championship was when we won it in 2005, we didn't sober up until the following March, I'd say. Because, look, Tom, to be fair out here, it was a phenomenal achievement for what we were trying to do. We were intermediate 8 years. We won the intermediate championship in 1996. We wouldn't have been rightly known as a massive senior club, but we came and, look, it was a fantastic achievement from our point of view. That team that won that county final was definitely good enough to win a couple of them, but we were absolutely delighted to win the one.
Yeah.
There was good old Porter up in the hill that time, Donie.
Well, in fairness, look, from my point of view, I didn't actually sample any of it, but I had as good a crack as any of them. But we had good buys. As I always said about Gaspalan, to be fair to us, we don't ever win too often. But when we do win, we are good boys to celebrate it. I will guarantee you that. We're good boys to look after it. So,
right, Matt, I'm taking that as an open invite. If they win the Premier Intermediate this year, we'll be down for a look.
He has a crew now that know how to celebrate.
Yeah, hopefully. Sure, look, they have to win, Matt. They have to win first. Once you can win, you once you win, you're the boss. That's what it's all about.
That's very true. Yeah, and look, it's going to be a very interesting senior championship. I think everyone will agree. I mean, I know people will probably think that the big four, as we're calling them there, might come to the surface again, but you just don't know what's coming in behind. And as I said, teams.
Well, I actually have a question for you now, Tom, because is it your hometown? Is your home club maybe inside? They have a nice little bit of an appointment in the backroom team that we have a connect with. So could Ballybrown Could they make a breakthrough?
Well, they probably are capable of, but I suppose a lot of their season will hinge on next Saturday because they're playing a hand. And
your listeners probably don't even know who the manager is. He manager or coach? They have a good St. Thomas.
I don't even know myself. I'm so disconnected. But it's Kevin Lally, who was formerly St. Thomas's and selector under Henry Shefflin. So
he has a fair record in his home county. So he knows what it takes. But Ballybrown was one club that I was looking at, Tom, that maybe might, and of course, obviously, Munger and Monleen, then you'd have to be saying with the talent they have at their disposal.
Yeah.
Can they make a breakthrough?
Yeah, in theory, though, like
when you're talking there about Ballybrown and a hand, it just raises another issue. Like in the first round of the championship every year, the big four have faced each other.
Yeah.
And the two so-called, I won't call them weaker teams, but the other two teams play off. And it has been a trend in recent years that whoever won that one was secure.
Yes.
You know?
Well, there's two reasons. There's two reasons for that, Matt. I know, and I was looking at this recently. First of all, the reason you might say they're secure is that because there's a head-to-head rule, you know, that means the other team that have beaten have to get two results, which is given the form of the big four, it's unlikely. It's been challenging to get two results, but then also the reason the fixtures are lined out like that is because the top four are drawn out 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 1 versus 2, 3 versus 4, and a hand who it has been for the last 5 seasons now, I think, have finished fifth. They play 6, so whoever's coming up is automatically number 6. So that's why you end up with that. It would great if it was shaken up and that game was round 3
Yeah.
or round 5. But look, it is what it is. You have to play them at some point. I don't think there'll be any excuses from either of those teams the weekend. They'll know what's on the line. Like if you're Ballybrown and you're beating the weekend, you have to roll into the PIHC the following weekend. It's going to be a long road back, and vice versa. Then for Han, if they don't pick up the points the weekend, they're rolling into one of the big boys the following weekend. So it's
it raises a certain question about the competition, and whilst on paper it looks a very good structure, and it has served us well as a structure, but when you look at it, the only change from Tweedledum, Tweedledee was when South Liberties beat Patrickswell in the quarter-final one year.
Yep, that's a fact.
It is so predictable at the moment that I think it detracts a small bit from the competition. Now, I'm criticizing, I'm not criticizing head-on the format of the structure, but I can't think of a better structure.
Yep.
But I don't think it's fully serving its purpose at the moment.
Yeah, I think 2018 was the last year of the just all 12, into a hat, and then they mixed it up. And what we had that year, I think if 2017 or 18, you had the PIHC beating some teams by 30, 25, 30 points, and probably not serving no one any good anyway. It is a challenge, to try and find something where you have every game is some bit competitive, but also teams are rising up. Go on, Donie, sorry.
The other side of that, Tom, is the PIHC were exceptional in 2018. Now. They were exceptional. They were exceptional now. And go back to Matt's point about maybe look for the 2-year term, right? If they tried it, if they went back to the 4-4s and just put the 1, 2, 3, and 4 top seeds, right, and then threw in, like we'll say, with your senior B teams and your senior A teams all mixed up, that
they'd be seeds 2 and 3 the whole way across. Yeah,
like we'll take a Newcastle West or a Drummond Atlaka, right, who are in the senior B, right, which it's a beauty, like they're facing into senior Drummond Atlaka for the second year and Newcastle West for their first year. Like, wouldn't it be fantastic if Newcastle West could have taken on a Kilmallock, or if they had one of them in their group? Do you know what I mean? Patrickswell and Newcastle West, and or a Kilmallock and Newcastle West, or Kilmallock and Drummond Atlaka, and they went back to the 4-4s just for a trial. Like we're looking at 5 or 6 years ago when there was 1 or 2 teams that. But I actually do believe in 2025. I don't know, Tom, what you think of that. Looking at the senior championship, I actually believe it's after leveling out. It's seriously after leveling out. Like Bungers rattled Patrickswell last year. And Ballybrown, Monaleen came strong. Like Ballybrown and Han are going to fancy their chances against in a round robin against either of them. So, like, I do believe that the senior championship has opened up. I think Doon have opened the can of worms for anyone that want to have a cut, we'll say. Do you know what I mean? I think it's after leveling up. There is no absolute standout team in it, is what I'm saying. I don't think there is an absolute standout team in it.
Yeah, and as good and all as the PIHC were in that period, I don't think they ever did. Did they do 3 in a row? I don't think they ever even did 3 in a row at one stage. You know what I mean?
I think they done 3 in a row. No.
Yeah, so like Kilmallock came at one stage, Patrickswell, and I know it was kind of split between the 3 of them. Like, But
Kilmallock didn't do 2 in a row. They didn't even retain.
You know what I mean? There was always still a level of competitiveness. Probably what you ended up then though was you ended up with kind of maybe 3 tiers of the championship. You ended up with maybe the top 3 or 4. Then you ended up with the middle 2 or 3, and it's probably still that way really. And then you ended up with 3 or 4 that were maybe just trying to keep their head above water on a given 100%. Year, but I think that whoever the 2 teams that come into the quarterfinals from the Group 2 this year, they'll have that winning feeling. And I think what we're touching on there, if it's maybe a Monaleen and a Mungers, it's maybe who I potentially fancy at this point. I don't think there's any reason that they should be fearful of whether it's Kilmallock, the PIHC, whoever they meet up, And I think that's where it is tightened up as well. I don't think a result is impossible in those quarterfinals.
I'm going to throw a dare at you there, Tom. I give a dare. I've seen a couple of the results lately, and they're actually tipping along nicely.
Yeah, well, Mark Foley told Matt otherwise last week.
I believe they have a nice little bit of a backroom team there, so there'll be a lot of structures going into the backroom there. So to be fair to him, look, it'll be up once Thursday night starts. It's open season for anyone. I think Matt is 100% right. The first match is critical for any team. It's just the way the split season has gone now, and we are waiting since last October, November. All teams are. So your first match is a critical match in all championships across the board.
You see, the reality of the Group 1 is like the 2 teams outside of the top 4
Yeah.
Whoever loses that, you know, they have to face the big four.
Yeah.
Where are they going? You know.
And if they get 2 or 3
That's the
results to try and
reality,
get
like.
into the top 4, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's it. It's tricky, but look, I think the results maybe from result against one of the big four. Even last year we saw a hand last year. They were out of the competition in the last round. They actually beat Doon.
That's right.
It's a result that maybe flies in the face of what happened afterwards. But like, they showed that they have the capability, and there was other games. I think they were very competitive against Patrickswell, and just the last quarter, just too many wides, etc. So I think
from a hand point of view, Tom, it might 2025 might be a year too soon, but if you're looking at the underage results, they are putting up some impressive scores in the Premier Minor Championship and in the Premier Under 16 Championship. Yeah. So there's something starting down there.
There is.
So
the spuds are starting to boil again.
Well, to be fair to them, the one thing about them is they were never soft, so they'll come. So I think if they can get a result in the first round, I'll tell you one thing: if they can win their first round match, they won't feel playing any of the top 4 in the second round. I guarantee you that.
No. They, and we spoke about it last year, Tom, that we thought that they might be the ones that would break the top 4, and like they won 2 games last year.
Yeah, it wasn't enough. In another year, it could be enough, depending on how it plays out.
Yeah,
potentially 2 wins in a draw. 2 wins in a draw could do it for you.
Might have inflicted damage on the losers because Doon had already qualified as top of the group when a hand played them. But were they to play a Patrickswell and a Kilmallock who were fighting, for their top 4 position, it could change things a bit,
Yeah, but look, it's all. I think it is going to be an interesting championship, maybe more so than ever, and particularly when you add in that angle of the Limerick panel and the door maybe being a little bit more ajar than other years. I think it should make for interesting viewing. And as I said at the start of the show, just before you came on, Donie, we've obviously 4 games to be streamed this weekend, so ample opportunity if people can't get the games to tune in and see who's lighting it up, and we might have a few scouts tuning in as well from around the country.
No, in fact, and to be fair to you, Tom, I said it to John Keogh at the weekend. Like, what a service they have in Limerick. Like, this is.
Well, your own brother's tuning in from Portugal, he has the handy knife.
In fairness to Limerick GA, or whoever came up with the idea, whatever road they went was like, this man is outside drinking a pint outside in bottom of Portugal, like.
Yeah,
he's
watching. He doesn't have to worry about milking the cows or anything. No.
He was never. He actually done it one time, but he was never good at it. But he got to see Gasplan. He got to see a high quality show at Gasplan and South Liberties, like, and this was no slouch job. Like, this was top quality. Like, he rang me and he was top quality service, like, so Jesus, like,
I know. I was chatting to him as well. He watched the effing game the other night as well, on Thursday.
For anyone,
this is what we were missing last year. We went up a blind alley last year by not having streaming, because we have 2 people, we have 2 groups, and I've said this umpteen times that the streaming is terribly important to. First of all, the housebound here.
Yes, 100%.
And secondly, the diaspora.
100%, yeah.
We had Jack Neville on last year, that your predecessor, Tom. And you recall, he saw 1 game.
Yeah.
Yeah, the county final was on TJ Carr, or RT was TJ Carr.
On some of them. Now he has a whole choice of games. But what I'm saying is, he's a microcosm of the numerous people that are in Australia. As I said to you, Perth Shamrocks recently won the Western Australia Senior Hurling League with 10 Limerick players on the panel.
Jesus, that's some stat.
And you were watching it, Matt,
What?
Were you watching it?
I actually have I got the video sent to me of it. But there are 10 Limerick players on the panel.
But Tom, you look at hurling around the country, right? Patrickswell and Kilmallock is on Thursday night, right? Like, this match is being streamed, right? So that's attractive for anyone in Ireland. Like, that's attractive for.
If you just look at Patrickswell, for there's 4 Hurler of the Year awards within the 3 lads alone. Like before you even move to Kilmallock, where you've multiple All-Ireland winners and all the rest.
Yeah,
as well.
And like, for anyone in Ireland, Tom, not just like I'm pretty certain Matt probably be the same boat, yourself be the same boat. If it was Cork or Tipper or Kilkenny, if it was an attractive game, it would entice you.
Yeah,
it was
two of the real kingpins. Yeah, you'd want to see what they're about.
And like as you said, in Tom, like the hurlers of the year, fellas are going to be intrigued to see what way if these boys cut loose. Like, sure, Jesus, it has the makings of a fantastic game of hurling. Like, you know.
It does. Yeah,
But
you were doing the adverts
the notion that streaming is going to affect attendances is a vacuous argument, because you see the crowd that were in Bruff on Saturday night.
Fantastic.
Then, not to mention, I think one of the biggest crowds I see at a Premier Intermediate Championship game was on Sunday night.
Oh Jesus, Matt! I'm in Knocklang a long time, and I can guarantee you one thing: I never saw anything like the crowd. No. It was fantastic. It was fantastic, and it's great. But look, it's Bruff and Blackrock too, so you're meeting in the middle. It was a real ideal setting for the job. Like, and they came, in fairness, now they came from all angles. Like, you know, so
yeah. You're Donie. You've obviously, Donie, people. I've been out to your facility recently. Maybe not everyone in it's such that far the county, and not everyone might have been there. You've obviously invested in the facility as well, you know, in terms of the new stand there and the fencing and everything else, and that's adding to the spectators, you know, appeal of going to a venue like that now as well.
Yeah, 100%. And look, you've been there, you've seen it. Look, it's a work in progress, right? It'll take a couple more years to finish it off. Obviously, it's costing a lot of money. We've had massive support now from grants and local people and everything, so we're trying to get there. And at the end of the day, right, it isn't 100 matches we're looking for at all. Look, Frankie's our chairman, and it was he came up with the initiative. We're trying to bring a bit of life back into the parish. There isn't much happening in Knocklang as it is. So people come down on a Sunday evening. There are the people ring me Sunday night passing. They had nothing at all to do with us, and they said, "God, what's on in Knocklang with the amount of cars that's there?" So it's just superb. It's superb from our point of view to be able to just bring a bit of life back into it. And if the shop in and the chipper or whatever, the pub get a bit of a kick out of it, so be it. Sure, that's all part and parcel of it. But
it is. Yeah.
Thanks be to God. Thanks be to God, we're able to facilitate it, and sure, with the help of God, we get a few more matches before the year's down.
In fairness to you, Donie, the facility is a credit to you. You know,
no, it's a fine job. Yeah, it's a fine job. It's a fine job. Look, there's a lot of people involved, and there's a lot of people working hard at it. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, as the great Snowy Heffernan said one time, if we hadn't hurling, I don't know what we'd do.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank God you've hurling out Knocklang.
No, that's 100%.
That's around, yeah. No, and look, it is a great facility, and I was out.
We must get back to the Premier Intermediate Hurling Championship. I noticed he's the.
They're going 2 for 2. They're going 2 for 2 this weekend, Matt.
Yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, Matt, I think you hit the nail on the head. The interesting result from the weekend was Sunday night's result. To be honest, I thought Bruff would turn them over, but I must say one thing: I saw Blackrock. I was fair impressed with them. They play a fair brand of hurling, and they're fair committed. And Jimmy Quilty has a fair job done with them. And on Friday night we're playing Bruff, and obviously we're playing the most dangerous animal of them all, a team that's beaten their own before. So it did a great test for our fellas. But in all four matches, like you're on about the senior one competition, that whoever loses the first match is in a spot of doubt. In the Premier Intermediate, if you lose your first match, sure, if you can win your second match, aren't you really back into the competition? So I wouldn't say there's any real panic in any team just yet. So all teams that were turned up at the weekend will trying to get one back, and all teams that won will obviously be trying to get 2 out of 2. But matches are funny, Matt, and hurling is a very funny game. Results. We were
just talking about Grenabell and Gary before you came on last year, Donie, and you were the ones that got cut first by him.
Yes, 100%.
They lost their first 2 games, and then they beat Garrispillane in round 3, and they won 4 of the last 5 games and missed out on the semi-finals on head-to-head with Effin. So it's a marathon rather than a sprint.
Oh, Jesus, it's a fact. It's a fact. You go back to last year, right? We thought we were comfortable facing it. Halfway through the championship last year, we thought we were quite comfortable on the table. And when it came to round 7, we were playing the PIHC below and Carrick-on-Laois in the last round, and we had to win to qualify. So that's the way. That's the beauty of this competition. Look, there is a slight rumours that they are going changing it. Maybe 7 matches is probably too many. It is definitely too many for a dual club, because we have the Galway footballers with us, obviously, and they have 5 rounds of football to put in as well. So what our players are trying to do, to be fair to them, is very, very difficult. It's all about managing the player now rather than managing the team, we'll say. So, look, if they change it. But at the moment, I felt they brought this in 2013. There was 4 teams relegated out of senior. Garrispillane was one of the teams. We were fully entitled to go down at the time. We went down in 2013. We played our first Premier Intermediate in 2014. It took us 5 years, 14, 15, 16, 17. We won it in 18. It took us 5 years to come out of it. So what I would say about this Premier Intermediate competition, to see, Tom was on about the top 4, very difficult to break into them. But this is a dream second competition for someone to win. It can really set your club up. So I'm pretty certain all teams, if I asked you to call the winners of the Premier Intermediate at the moment, it will change, Matt, from week to week who's going to win the Premier Intermediate. You won't really know because it's 2 competitions. First one is to qualify, and when you qualify, then your competition starts. So that's the beauty of the Premier Intermediate.
And as well, you wouldn't rule out, and after the heat pressure on them, you wouldn't rule out Croke Kilfinney who are coming into the grade from making a fair go at it as well. Like, you know, and that's the beauty of the grade as well.
Well, the beauty for Croke Kilfinney's point of view is they won the Intermediate Championship last year, but they had been beaten the previous 2.
3.
So they could have been Premier Intermediate with the last 2. So like they are very, very close to it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Well sharpened. They're well sharpened for it. Yeah.
We played Brewery in the South League this year, right? And they were beating the county final last year, and I was very, very impressed with Brewery. While you would think Marubor would come, so you're down to the ordinary intermediate grade in. Another wide open competition that any of 7 or 8 teams could win it. So, and Matt, at the end of the day, you're playing the Senior Championship. We're talking about the top 4, the Premier Intermediate, the Intermediate, and the Premier Junior. Severe open competitions. And isn't that what you want? Anyone, that's the way you need it. You don't need one standout team in any of these competitions. So it's open season for anyone.
No. But this is a factual statistic. In 2023, after 4 games, Glenroe had 7 points, 3 wins and a draw.
Right. That's right.
And they didn't qualify. The next 3 and failed to qualify for the semi-final.
That's a fact, yeah. Well, 7 points won't qualify you, but I think if you go statistically, I think 8 will, Matt. I think it will. I think
more often than that, yeah.
I think 8 will qualify you. But I think if you go back, I'm not 100%. In one of the years that we played it, we lost the first 3 rounds of it, and we qualified after.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the stats we played in the Premier Intermediate. So I don't think there's any mad panic to set in, but teams will still want to get on the board. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't really want. There's obviously 3 rounds of this competition before the football returns. You don't really want to be going there with nothing in your hand, you know.
No, but still, Tom,
you're not gone.
No, but still 1 win out of the 3 is enough if you can understand what I'm saying. Like, you don't want to go with zeros, right?
Yeah, one out of 3. Yeah, you're in the fight still, and you can.
Granny Ballingarry last year lost the first 2, won 4 of the next 5. That's your example.
That's exactly it, yeah. So that competition, it does give you a bit of leeway. Like in the senior, with only 5 matches, if you lose the first 2, there's a guaranteed probably certainly you won't qualify. So
yeah. Okay, Donie, I was going to keep you on for about half an hour, but sure, here we are an hour later.
No, it's good. In fair play, in fairness, fair play.
And you managed to figure out the technology. I did see your son in the background there, though.
No, in fairness, no, I didn't have any hand act or part in. We set up. I'm going to new levels altogether now. I have the hotspot on the phone connected to the laptop, so
right.
I didn't even know.
Crystal clear,
I didn't even know this technology could be done even. So if I could get
there we go. We're learning week on week here on Treaty Talk.
He set me up on this, and he's gone off milking the cow. So I have to go down. So that's the reward for him setting me up on this.
Oh, right. Well, you might be on every week, so if that's the arrangement, you might become a resident. Look, Donie, I think we'll wrap it there. But look, it's great to chat and get a flavour of the Premier Intermediate last weekend, obviously, and then give a quick look at the Senior Championship, and hopefully, I suppose, from a Limerick point of view, we'll be chatting again next season on an inter-county front on. What you touched on there could be a thrilling Munster Championship. I'd say we're already looking forward to it, and we're, as you said, 9 months removed.
If we're not finished yet, the only thing I'll say to them, and Matt touched on it there earlier on, for the people of Limerick, is they need to get out to see these boys hurling. There's a range of hurling on the weekend now, and this is actually, the standard is actually quite high, and just like it's fantastic for people to get an opportunity. And to be fair to the inter-county boys, they will beat you after the match. Like, so.
I'll just tell you one, Donie, not a Limerick hurling one, but I remember I was covering Sigerson Cup a few years ago when David Clifford was playing for UL, and normally the UL Fitzgibbon or Sigerson team, you might see 50, 100, 200 at it of a Monday or a Wednesday evening, first week of January, freezing. The word get out to Clifford was starting for UL, and I'd say there was probably 2,000 people turned up to UL. And I was privileged enough to be inside the wire taking a few notes, and like to see someone like that we saw what he did the weekend, and maybe a little bit unfortunate not to get player of the match in the final, but like to see someone like that from only meters away, it's phenomenal, and that's what you get at the club game.
It's phenomenal. And just to finish up then, boys, I was actually very, very close. I could have been put into the annals of hurling history forevermore. I saw one comment, a competitor years after the All-Ireland final. He said John McGrath, he said he was too old, he was too slow, but he only scored 2-2. He said, if he had got the 2-4, I would have been printed across every board, every paper, every newsletter in the country. If John
Donie Ryan once said,
so from John McGrath's point of view, he can turn around now and he can tell every man in County Tipperary that he was too old, and he was like, there was fellas looking for John McGrath to be gone 2 years ago. Like, so
it was something I could never understand.
No, I should just the club performances. Sure, he got 6 man of the matches in a row for Lockmore Castleiney 2 years ago. So
that's all you need to know about that.
Very, very close, Tom. Too old. It'll come. Someone is going to do it. Someone is going to match it.
Very good.
I'm going to the cow.
Just one final point about David Clifford. It was in 2023, was it? Do you remember Fiohanna won the County Junior Championship and they drew Fossa at home?
That's right.
And it was sold out. And sold out nearly a week before it. But he obviously played and he came off with 10 minutes to go. And I was saying to myself, he's heading now for the sanctuary of the dressing room. Not a bit of it. He came down the line and he played every bit of the last 10 minutes on the line with his boys and then met anyone that wanted to meet him. And of course, there was a swarm around him.
He met Seamus Flanagan and all. There's a photo of him and Seamus Flanagan.
Seamus was there. I got a photograph of the two of them together. Yeah,
it's actually something I mean to ask you, Tom. Is I see your name linked. You were connected to Big Boys last weekend with this James Horden and Paul Rouse and all them. What?
Oh yeah. Well,
are you after mixing with the big circle? You're going into the big circles now.
You see, the Dalo's Hurling podcast wouldn't have me, so I went to the football.
Was that? Dalo's Hurling podcast won't have me, Tommy. We've no chance.
I know. Come here. It was a good experience with the lads.
We have to be humble in his presence now.
Yes, Tom. I see you mixing. You're mixing with Big Boys now. So
yeah. Well, the fact that I didn't actually get to stay in Croke Park for the match should tell you that I wasn't exactly mixing it. I was turfed out, shall we say? But anyway, all's well that ends well. It was a good afternoon, a morning and afternoon in Croke Park. So anyway, Donie, thanks a minute. We'll let you get back to the couch.
Thanks very much, Donie.
Boys. Thanks very much.
Yeah, chat to you soon. All right, the great Donie Ryan there, lads. We could talk
great
forever
chat
with the man.
Really great, insightful chat. You know, it was the All Ireland final and
all kinds of everything, Matt.
On the Limerick Championship, you always know what you'll get from Donie, the very best.
Yeah, absolutely. Just I suppose the conscious of time moving on and all the rest of it. Obviously, just to wrap the Premier Intermediate grade, Gary Spillane had their victory over South Liberties. Croke Kilfinny marked their debut in the campaign. 1-12 from Keane O'Carroll. Probably not the best game, but they certainly finished with aplomb. Late in the contest, streaked away. We saw, you mentioned Blackrock with a bit of a surprise over Brough, last year's semi-finalists, and then Granagh Ballingarry starting their campaign a little bit better this year with that narrow victory over Glenroe. An interesting opening round.
A very interesting opening round, Tom. And you mentioned Keane O'Carroll there. Like, he's an absolute scoring machine. And if you saw the breakdown, he got points from play, he got points from frees, he got points from a penalty, he got points from a line ball. You know, he has it all. He had a tremendous performance, and he was rightly named man of the match. I think you were interviewing him after.
Good chat with him as well. Yeah,
and we've had him. He's been on this podcast back in the day when he captained Coloston and Troker in 2023 to win the All Ireland Hurling Championship colleges, post-primary colleges. That was. And he was scoring for fun then. But what people don't realise is that he's at the same thing in football with Kappa.
He is, yeah. So they got a first round win in the intermediate, so he's gone up a grade, and nothing has changed in both codes.
Nothing seems to change in Keane O'Carroll's world other than that he keeps scoring.
Yeah. What about Seamus Hickey as well, Matt? I mean,
I was absolutely in awe of Seamus Hickey's performance, particularly in the second half. And like we were talking about leadership there and talking about leader in the leader of Ronan Maher, but what a leader he is for Croke Kilfenny. You know, it was a big, major boost for Croke Kilfenny the day that Seamus Hickey landed in the parish, and
his transfer from Marooboher to now, I suppose, his new local club. There's no coincidence, Matt, that they won the Junior A in that first season he had with the club. 3 county finals at intermediate, then they got it over the line at the 4th one, and now they're after winning their opening game here. There's no fluke to that Seamus has been at the heart of
No. His second half performance last Thursday night, Tom, was bordering on incredible. I thought it was and Seamus Hickey, and I suppose he won't mind me saying so, was played in an All-Ireland minor final in 2005.
Yeah.
You know,
he was young hurler of the year 18 years ago. When you look at it like that, you know,
that'll give you an idea. But he was outstanding. But and I spoke to him after about it. Richie McCarthy, they were teammates in 2005. Richie turned back the clock certainly last Saturday or last Sunday night. Yeah. I thought but he organised the full back line, and the way Jimmy Quilty had his defence set out, it was fierce, effective. But he was an important fulcrum of it. And another man, of course, that played in that 2005 minor final, David Maloney, was in goals for Blackrock the other night. Right. David, who has given tremendous service to Blackrock over the years, tremendous service, and represented Limerick at senior level. You know, he was on that minor team as well. So, you can say that 3 of that 2005 minor team are going very strong at Premier level.
Yeah, which is no mean feat. Okay, look, that's the Premier Intermediate. Just to mention, we'll come to senior, Matt, in a second, in a bit more of an overarching look at it. The intermediate grade throws in at the weekend. I know we're not going to go through every fixture down the grades, but you have Group 1 where you have Cappamore versus Hospital on Thursday evening. You have Broree versus Croom at the same time at 7 p.m. on Thursday evening, and Fina Kilmeedy promoted to the grade against Mungert St. Paul's second team. That's a repeat of the 2023?
2023.
Junior, the last old Junior A final, as it were, before that got changed. So Fina and Mungert St. Paul's, there'll be no love lost there, I'd say. That's in one group, and then in the other group, Knockany versus St. Kieran's on Thursday evening at 7. The Piercing versus Fiona and on Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. and Marooboher versus Pallasgreen in Cappamore. That is on 3 p.m. on Sunday. Now, I think the fact Croke are gone out of this grade, Matt, very hard to say who's going to win this. I'd say you'd have to be looking at the likes of Broree and maybe Marooboher, maybe the two that jump off the page at this initial point, but difficult to know as well.
Possibly Fiona. They won 4 games last year, topped the group, went into the semi-final, lost to Croke Kilfenny. With Seamus Flanagan on board, I wouldn't discount them. Broree definitely, Marooboher definitely. I would put Fiona up there with him with a good chance. And Tom, don't rule out your adopted club, Knockany.
Right, they were beaten quarterfinalists last year, wasn't it, against Broree? So look, that's true too. They'll be looking to rise again. And look, themselves and Marooboher, I suppose, had a difficult few years, Matt, and they're after stabilizing at the grade. Now have aspirations.
This is the thing about relegation. How quick do you stabilise, and that is probably what, to a certain degree, happened. South Liberties, have they yet stabilised from? Are they still suffering a hangover from from relegation? It can go one of two ways, as you know, Tom. It can inspire people, or people. It depends on the configuration of the team, I think.
It does. I'd look at Monaleen are the opposite example of that. Then they came down, but such a young team, vibrant team, they bounced straight back up and won a Club All Ireland, for God's sake. It can happen. It can happen the other way as well. But sometimes you just need to stem the leakage, as it were, and stop the flow against you. And I think, to be fair to Knockany and Maru Boher, they showed that last year. Like, Maru Boher had suffered back-to-back relegations, and I think they had lost their first 3 games in one of the seasons. You were potentially looking at them going all the way from senior to junior without winning a game. But I think they won their final 2 games that year, and since then have been a bit more, looking upwards rather than across and down.
It is, as you said, Tom, at the outset, it's about stabilisation, and like and I've no doubt Liberties will stabilise, but if they're expecting and if they're ambitious for a quick return, they'll have to stabilise pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
Even though it's a 7-game marathon, like you have 2 extra games that you wouldn't have if you went from intermediate down to junior.
Sorry, yeah, I have you. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Or if you went from premier intermediate to intermediate.
Yeah, you have 7 group games rather than the 5.
5
So there is time to fix it for the South Liberties. Okay.
There is. And there are opportunities to fix it as well.
Yeah, moving back to the senior grade, and Group 2, I think, is where we'll look, Matt. We've touched on some of these games already. Thursday evening in Feddermore, we'll see Monaleen versus Adair. That is from 7 p.m. Just looking at this game, Matt, Adair, very slow to get moving last year, finished the season strong. I think they beat Ballybrown and South Liberties to close out the campaign, and kind of needed, if they had more games, you feel they were going to win more. But obviously the damage for them was done in the opening 3 rounds where they had suffered three consecutive defeats. So it's difficult to know where they're pitching at, and I don't think they took much part in the league either, Matt.
Yeah.
So we've no real.
I saw the corresponding game last year, which was won by Monaleen. It was I think we had spoken on the podcast before, Tom, as far as I remember, that it would be a defining game for Monaleen, and that's what it was. Because I certainly saw a Monaleen team that particular evening, the way they set out, the way they got their scores, the manner in which they won the hurling match. I saw them as being really a coming force, and there's no reason to believe that the momentum that they showed last year will not continue this year, because they certainly have the personnel, Tom. There's no question about it. They have a crop of fine hurlers, and they're fellas then with vast experience, with say the like of Larkin Lyons, who was outstanding all last year. You have Luke Murphy, very, very good. Andrew Latouche Cosgrave. They're the leaders now. I'm not sure if Marco Dwyer will be back on board from injury. If he is, what a boost it's going to be to him. So, I fancy him big time now for this year, that this could be their year. That that they cannot be looking back now. It has to be forward, because the momentum is forward. All Ireland 2023 consolidated. Sorry, All Ireland in 2022, wasn't it? It went over to 2023.
Yeah, it was January 2023 that they won it. Yeah.
They consolidated in the Senior Championship that year. Really drove on last year. Got to the quarterfinals.
Push Patrick's well for a long period in that quarterfinal.
For a long period. The target for Monaleen, and I'm sure on Breslan wouldn't deny it, is that it has to be that you finish in that top spot this year. But Mark Foley, as you overheard our conversation the other night, he wasn't giving too much away. But Mark, if you're looking, there was a smug look about your face that evening, last Thursday evening. But there's what can you say about Mark? He's seen it all. He's done it all, and like when you look at their panel that they have available to them, Tom, they have some very, very good players available to them. Now, for the most part, last year they deployed Declan Hannon in the forwards and did so very, very successfully. But you have a lot of very good players, the like of Ronan Conley, Jody Hannon, Michael Keane. They roll off your tongue. John Fitzgibbon, Willie Griffin, great players. So it'll be a very, very interesting game, I think.
Yeah. And look, it's difficult at this point. We don't know the team lineups and who's available and who's potentially injured and all that. But yeah, I think that should be an interesting game. That's in Fedamore. Moving on to the other games in this group, it is of course the White Box County Senior Hurling Championship. These are the Group 2 fixtures we're looking at. Friday, the 1st of August, Mungret St. Paul's will face Newcastle West. Now, an avid listener, Mr. Johnny Upton, has kindly given me the stat, and he has done the digging on it, Matt. 1990 was the last time Newcastle West played a senior game. He might have been playing it himself. I didn't get that confirmed with him, but I think Mungret St. Paul's, well, they're back in the scene. They were out of senior for a long time, up until I think it was 91. They got relegated or demoted, as it were. So these two sides probably not with the wealth of experience at senior hurling, as it were. Now Newcastle West are bringing a raft of senior football experience. Obviously Mungret a couple of seasons now. Is this their 3rd season or 4th season now at the grade? So this is an intriguing one, and Newcastle West will be a welcome for neutrals around the county, a welcome team back at the grade. I think it's fair to say.
That's fair to say, and it's a major boost for hurling in West Limerick. Like in the last 12 months, hurling in West Limerick got 2 major Phillips, Tom. Newcastle West winning the Premier Intermediate Hurling Championship, and SMI winning the All-Ireland Colleges C Championship. And they're going forward into the B Championship this year with 13 of the starting players that won the All-Ireland. So, and they're drawn in a group with a 3 schools group with Castle Troy and Tralee. So I would be expecting that they will account for themselves very, very well in that competition. Now, a lot of this game, Tom, is maybe about not who's playing, but who's not playing. Because we know for certain that Brian Nix will definitely miss out. He missed out on the football game, and he was telling me that it would be up to 5 weeks before he would be back. And you know the contribution that he made to Newcastle West last year. Now on the other side, Paul O'Brien, who would be their ace marksman, Mungret's ace marksman is in Canada. Rory Duff and Brian Barry would be out injured, long-term injuries, but they do have Mark O'Brien on board as a free taker, and a very, very good one at that. And we know the contribution he made with Limerick under-20s this year. There is a stellar cast for this game, Tom, and McNeville Park is an ideal setting for it. The big question is, can Newcastle West translate last year's success? Can they translate it over this year? If the Munster Clubs Championship is anything to go by, Tom, a week after winning the Munster Clubs Championship, they more than acquitted themselves against Cashel King Cormac's when they only lost by a point. And I have a feeling that it's going to be a very, very interesting game, but I have a hunch that Newcastle West will bring a certain amount of momentum to this game that might carry them over the line.
Yeah, Mungret have obviously lost all 5 games last year in the top 6 group, as it were. So, yeah, you're right. Momentum is big at any grade of sport and any grade of hurling. So, it's a point well made.
In terms of form and in terms of momentum, Tom, they're coming from diverse opposite positions. Yeah. Like Mungret are coming on a losing streak. Newcastle West are coming on a winning streak. Like they won 6 games of the in the first 6 games in the Premier last year, lost to Blackrock in the final round by a point at a stage when they had absolutely sealed top position, and then won their semi-final and final. So in terms of momentum, like Blackrock and Cashel Kilcormac are the only one that has laid a glove on them since 2023. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game. Big test of Newcastle West. Make no mistake about it. It's their first game back at senior level in 35 years. Yeah, but it's going to be a big test. But there is a certain amount of momentum behind them. Yeah. And I know from talking to quite a few of them now, I was talking to quite a lot of them at the football match. With the teams met also in the football championship.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And Tom, was a point in it. Yeah.
And Tom, if the game is anything like the game in the football championship, we will go home very happy on Friday night. The football clash between them was a game for the ages, Tom. I I would safely say one of the best Limerick Senior Football Championship games I've seen for a long, long time. And there's an awful lot of people on the same hymn sheet as me that were lucky to see it on the night or lucky to see it through stream. That it was a fantastic game of football. Credit to both sides. Please, lads, do the same on Friday night.
The other game in this grade, Kildown-Pallaskenry and Drummond-Atlaka, a game that Kildown-Pallaskenry were victorious in last season. I think it was around 3 or 4 maybe. How do we see this one? It's, I suppose, the names that jump off the page here are obviously Kyle Hayes and David Reedy on opposite sides. Kildown-Pallaskenry would probably be looking to go a little bit stronger than they did last year. They were very up and down year, a lot of injuries. Beat it there, but then were well beaten by Ballybrown, beat Drummond-Atlaka, lost to Monaleen, and I think they beat South Liberties as well. So a mixed bag from them overall, wasn't it?
Now, Decky Nash is doubling up. He's managing the senior hurling and the senior football team this year. Now, they've lost up to 8 adult players for various reasons, and particularly from a hurling point of view, Darren O'Connell.
Yeah.
Which would be a big loss. This will be a very, very interesting game. Drummond-Atlaka got off to a great start last year. They beat South Liberties in the first round, and then they beat Adair in the second round in a very, very tight and competitive game in Ballygrand. I was at it. And as you say, the main players are definitely Kyle Hayes, who turned out with the footballers in the first round of the championship against Ballylanders. And Tom, he is a fine footballer. Make no mistake about it, a fine footballer. And you've David Reedy. Now, Drummond-Atlaka have received a boost this year in that Ty Body, who played with the Limerick under-20 team, transferred his allegiance from Bruff. Now, Darren Minahan has taken over as manager there. It's second-year syndrome that Atlaka will have to face up against in this. And, Peter Nash, as we learned in the football, is playing out of his skin. We learned something similar about Carl Downs, who was named as a sub in the first round of the football, came on, scored a goal and 3 points in the first 8 minutes after coming on. And we know what his hurling prowess is. It's a game I'm leaning towards Kildown-Pallaskenry to repeat last year's win, Tom.
Yeah.
It's going to be very close. I wouldn't, totally discount Drummond-Atlaka at all, because the spirit in that club is simply phenomenal,
Yeah, they won their first 2 last year and then lost the last 3. They did find it going a little bit tough after the first 2 rounds. The momentum was lost a bit quicker than they would have anticipated, and now put it up to Ballybrown on the last day in a high-scoring game, but just couldn't get it done. Do you want to call your predictions, match margins for this one? John Hitko has given me his. Now you're the early leader after the football, thanks to Newcastle West. Helping you get up on the mark.
Which game first, Tom?
We'll just call the 3 in Group 2. We'll come to Group 1 then, and I give those a bit of a preview. So first of all, I suppose we'll start with the one I just mentioned there: Kildown-Pallaskenry versus Drummond-Atlaka. I'm
going for Kildown by 3.
I am going Kildown by 2, and Jan has called a draw in this one. So let me just note that you said 3. So that's Kildown-Pallaskenry, yeah. And the next one is looking for the Mungret St. Paul's game. Mungret St. Paul's against Adair, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going Mungret St. Paul's against Newcastle.
Against Newcastle. Apologies. Yeah.
I'm going for Newcastle by 2.
2 for Newcastle West. Okay. John Keogh has called this one Mungret by 5 points, and I have said Mungret by 3. And the other game in this group then sees Adair against Monaleen. John has said Monaleen will win this by 6. I have said Monaleen by 5, and Matt O'Callaghan sees it as?
I'll say by 4.
5, okay, 6-5-4, yeah. So Monaleen across the board there. Okay, that's those 3. And again, all a bit of fun. And if anyone listening thinks we're wrong, tell us before the match takes place. No point in telling us after,
Can I remind our listeners and our viewers, Tom, that we don't puck a ball, nor we don't kick a football. So
at this grade.
We're just giving our opinion.
Absolutely, yeah, just for a bit of fun and a bit trying to spark up a bit of interest. Okay.
And I don't want any Johnny coming on to me. You said we said, and it has happened a couple of times this year. I see you were backing against us, and You know.
Yeah. Well, if they're listening to this now before a ball has been kicked, they might as well just put it in the comments and tell us what they know, because some people know more than us, and just tell us the score prediction there, or send me a message privately, and I will listen. I may not agree, but I will listen. The top grade, Matt, we mentioned it there. We'll start with Ballybrown versus the Hand. This is 3 p.m. on Saturday, a game which we will see on the stream. Myself on commentary. I'm not sure who's joining me just yet, but. Big one for both teams in the context of they will know they need to get to the top 4 to have a successful season. Getting 2 points here is paramount to that, Matt, isn't it?
It's paramount, and losing 2 points is it just
double-edged sword of a game. Yeah, real 4-pointer,
yeah, it is. Look, we've been saying there now for the last 2 years, and I think Donie kind of wrote in behind us in it that if anyone was to break into the top 4, I have felt anyway for the last couple of years that Han are best equipped to do it.
Yeah, they've stayed in this group for long enough that they know the lie of the land, Yeah.
And but having said that, now Ballybrown have quite a bit going for them, Tom. It isn't that they're coming up raw into Group 1. They have been there before, not too very long ago, and I think this will be a very, very interesting game. It'll be very interesting, of course, Tom, because of the fallout of it. And when I say the fallout of it, the importance of avoiding defeat in it.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit disappointed, Tom, that. As I said, when I touched on it there, when Donie was there about the format, that it should be this way.
Yeah. See, Matt, if anyone listened earlier said I might have been having a go at the county board, they set out the rules, but if no one is willing to tell them to change them, if no club is going to put up their hand and say, can we please put in a motion to change it? In fairness, why they've enough to be doing, why would they change it?
That's Tom, I'm sick of saying it, but I'll repeat it again at the risk of being repetitive. But you've opened a can of worms now, Tom, but tell me to stop.
Careful now, we're 91.5 minutes into the podcast.
I'll take you to 92.5. But right. We had 5 conventions in the first 2 weeks of December. 5 conventions in the last 2 weeks of December 2024. No notice of motion in any one of the 5. No contest in any one of the 5. That is the level of disengagement of the clubs with the process.
Yes.
I don't 100% blame the clubs, because I was a club official for long enough, and if I were a club official now, I might, but it's only a might. I think I'd fight back. Get sick of the diktats handed down from Croke Park. I don't blame the clubs for disengaging, but you're absolutely right. It's up to the clubs to go through the process to get it changed.
Yeah, the problem is, of course, is it actually is only affecting since a hand have been in this grade since 2020 or 21, so it's only affecting a hand and Mungret, Ballybrown,
Lima
Palace-Kenry. Those are the 4 that is affected. So I suppose anyone else is probably not. It's not even on their radar. I don't think Patrick Swell doing the PIHC or Kilmallock will really bother them too much. They'll just get on with who they're playing. But look, anyway, it is what it is. It's probably in a good way. It means that everyone can line this fixture up, get their best 15 out, or what they think is their best 15, get everyone fit, and it's not. It's not round 3 where they might have a suspension or they might have niggles and knocks. There's been a clean run into this. I don't think too many of the Ballybrown lads played football. I'd say not many of the hand lads would have played opening round of the football. Actually, did they get a walkover even in that? I can't remember. But there's been no excuses here really for this one. So Ballybrown, obviously, Aidan O'Connor, one of the top, I think he was the top scorer in the championship last season. Colin Coughlin kind of behind him at midfield or centre back, depending on what way they're selected. and then they'll obviously look to others then around that to fill in. And they've obviously, I think Josh Adams making a near enough return from a cruciate ligament injury, Mikey Gavin in the same camp, and James Coughlin, someone who had a dislocated knee around 11 months ago. Played brilliantly in the first couple of rounds, but
He did. Played absolutely brilliantly, yeah.
I think Luke O'Connor is one that's missing out with a long-term shoulder injury for Ballybrown. But those three names that I mentioned before him, great players to have back. And it's great to see lads who'd suffered, horrific injuries, making hopefully a full return for them. And those men, I think, should be key, as well as Aidan and Colin, who I touched on there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But then you look on the other side. Tom Morrissey is going to score for fun, as he always does. Like you've Kieran Barry, you've Dan Morrissey, you've Ronan Fox. Like you've very, very good players on both sides. And
we saw the impact of Gary Brennan last year as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, Ronan Fox is always capable inside as well. We just look at, we'll have to see what way the teams line out. Obviously, I think Ballybrown would need management.
We're stepping in the dark, Tom, until we actually see the first round. They're notoriously hard to call the first round.
Yeah. No, that's it. But look, very important game. I know Ballybrown rolling into the PIHC the following week. And I'm not sure who they have after that, but it's a hell of a lot easier to go into the second round with 2 points on the board than it is when you've suffered a defeat. Like, so I think Ahan second round is against Kilmallock. In round 2. So that's, the two of them will be underdogs in their second round, no matter what way you look at it. The other games in this group, Matt, we'll come to predictions on the three together, I think, at the end. So Kilmallock and Patrick Swell on Thursday evening. I think a certain Mr. Dermot Burns is tying the knot on Friday. So be interested to see will he line out for Patrick Swell the night before. But a big game for these two sides. 7 p.m. in Newcastle West.
Yeah. I'm hearing that Graham Mulcahy and Kieran O'Connor could miss out for Kilmallock, and
I would heard that
already
actually,
without Robbie Hanley and Paddy O'Loughlin. So it'll be there'll be a number of newcomers in the Kilmallock team, I expect.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see in the circumstances if Dermot Burns will turn out.
Yeah, and you wouldn't blame him either way. It could be the perfect distraction. It could be something that he mightn't want to risk. But these were the two sides Matt beaten in the semi-finals last year. I think Patrick Swell probably well beaten by Doon in their semi-final, and for Kilmallock,
just beaten by a point.
Just beat. And it was an uncharacteristic mistake that cost them on the day. Obviously, they have a new goalkeeper. Conor Hanley Clark looks like he'll be the man between the posts.
He was telling me there in the last fortnight that he would be in the goal,
Yeah, and we've seen, his distribution would be top class. So we'll just see how that one plays out. They've new management as well in both clubs as well. New man at the helm as well. So interested to see how they'll go. But I think these teams will still fancy their chances regardless of the result on Thursday evening. They'll know that there is room for manoeuvre beyond this one, and that picking up maybe 3 wins out of the last 4 should be enough, or even 2 wins in a draw could be enough to put them through. But then again, they might want to take the direct route to a semi-final. The final game in the group, Matt, probably the biggest game of all in terms of who's involved. The repeat of the county final, where Doon were famously 1-point winners over the PIHC in the Wind on a Saturday evening in what was it? It was late October or early December or November, I can't remember which. But these two are very familiar with each other, Matt. They'll be throwing in at 7 p.m. on Saturday in the TUS Gaelic Grounds, another one of those games that is being streamed as well, of course. Doon will want to maybe put down a small bit of a marker to say we're back for more. We're not a one-trick pony, and they'll want to show that this will be the first step on the road to defending that title. How do you see this one?
Yeah, Doon will want to make a statement, and the one thing that's hard to quantify, Tom, but it has to be enormous. What the win has done for Croom in terms of for Doon in terms of confidence, like the county championship, the county senior hurling championship, like they had cleaned the boards at underage level at will practically, but the one holy grail, the county senior hurling championship was the holy grail, and they finally got to it last year. And Derek McGrath came in and probably gave them that bit of extra impetus. But Tom, they deservedly won it last year. They won it in style. No, the PIHC had been their arch nemesis for so long, and they suffered an awful lot of heartbreak at the hands of the PIHC. But to beat them twice last year, and I suppose it was coming from the previous year, because in the previous year, the PIHC gave Doon, a trimming in the group stages, but had to rely on a penalty shootout to beat him in the semi-final. And that was a Doon team that was down a host of players, mainly defenders, in 2023. So I suppose it wasn't any great surprise that Doon would eventually turn the tables. And by God, they did it in style, Tom. Now, they won by a point on both occasions in the group stages and the county final. But they were deserving 1 point winners. And it is a question of, in terms now, Peter Casey missed a lot of it from the PIHC. There will be a certain amount of hunger and a certain amount of drive in Doon to prove that they're not just a one year winners. And now that they've got the taste of it, but it's having got the first one. What I'm trying to say is it's going to be easier for them because they've been through it, and there is no doubt the appetite is there, because we've spoken to a number of the lads since, and by God, they're happy with one. They enjoyed everything that goes with it, and they want more of the same. But the PIHC and the PIHC, Tom. The PIHC and the PIHC.
But they're aiming for an 8th title, is it? They have 7 in the bag, I think, don't they?
A stellar cast. Casey's, William O'Donoghue, they're all over the place. Ronan Lynch, Mike Foley, they've been through it all. Willem Hinn, Vince Harrington, Enda McAvoy, they roll off. Adrian Breen, Kevin Downs,
Dahi Dempsey.
Dahi Dempsey. Tom, it's a stellar cast, but it would look last year, I would say, and this is fair comment, Tom, I don't think the PIHC were as good last year as they were the year before.
No, they probably didn't hit the heights. Now that said, the chasing pack was probably a bit stronger for them as well.
It's a question: can they get back to 2023, because they now know that 2024 wasn't good enough. So I think it will be very, very interesting. I'm leaning for Doon, Tom.
Yeah, as am I. Just obviously the Doon names, I know Donie mentioned so many of them earlier. You're looking at the likes of Pat Ryan, Adam English, Richie English, Darragh O'Donovan, Barry Murphy, Tomas Lynch in goals, Dara Stapleton maybe at the edge of the square. There's many more now, and I'm struggling to think even.
The Cormac Ryans, the Jack Ryans, the Barry Murphys, Richie English.
Yeah, no, I mentioned him in fairness, yeah. But no, you're right. They will take stopping. I'm leaning with them for the county. I'll be perfectly honest with you, Matt. I think there's enough there, and the form of Adam English, he's going to inspire those around him, is my view on it. Just looking at the predictions, so Matt, I will just call out what we have here. We have John Keogh has said that he thinks Doon will win by 4. I have said Doon will win by 3. Matt, how are you seeing this one?
I see Doon winning by. I have to go. Sure, I can go 3 and 4. I can, of course.
You can, of course. There's no problem at all.
Yeah, I think Doon will win by 3.
Yeah, well, I hope we're correct there, Matt, for once. I hope you're right, because that means I'll be right too.
Yeah.
The other game on Thursday night, as I mentioned, being streamed, Patrick Swell and Kilmallock. I have leaned with the men from the Well by 3 points. How do you see it, Matt?
Kilmallock by 2.
Kilmallock by 2, okay. And John has said Kilmallock by 3 as well. Okay, and Ballybrown and Han. John Keogh said Ballybrown by 4. I have said Ballybrown by 2. And how do you see it?
I see a hand by 2.
And by 2, very good, very interesting. At least we've a fair bit of difference between us over the 6 games. There's a couple of ones that will be sink or swim for us in terms of the predictions. Do let us know in the comments, folks, if you have any of your own. Okay, Matt, that's it. Also, just to briefly mention the Premier Junior, the Junior A, and I think the Junior C Championship are all ramping up the weekend. Junior B played on divisional basis. Will be getting going at different times and periods. I know the South, for example, Junior B starting early this day next week, actually, on Tuesday. So we'll be trying to keep abreast of those, but there's so many games, very hard to keep an eye on everything down the grades. But we'll be quickly into round 2 of the upper echelons.
And before we go, Ken, we wish the very best of luck to Colin Ryan, who competes in the Puck Fada in the Cooley Mountains on Monday.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Munster champion as he is going into
Munster champion. He won the Munster Championship for the 3rd time, which was held over the Galtee Mountains and organised by Gareth Bland GA about 4 weeks ago. And he's, going on. He went on and won the Munster Championship, as I said, and he's seeking to become the Puck Fada champion for a 2nd time. He won it in 2021. Now, believe it or not, Brendan Cummins, who won the Puck Fada 9 times, is back in the field this year.
Right.
Which is very interesting, as is the Fionn Mackesy, you will recall, from Kerry, who transferred his allegiance to Kilkenny this year.
Yeah.
He's seeking 3 in a row on the Puck Fada this year. He's been champion for the last 2 years. And he also in the field is Killian Kiley, who played senior hurling, won a Joe McDonagh Cup with Offaly. So 5 Limerick men have won the Puck Fada. Vincent Godfrey was the first winner from Bruff in 1961, and we've had subsequent winners in Pat Hartigan, Tommy Quaid, Albert Shanahan, and of course Colin Ryan. And interestingly, the under 16 Puck Fada started in 2004, and it was won by 2006, I think. But it was also the inaugural year was a Limerick winner, Aaron Murphy from Hospital Humberstown, who won a Munster under 21 medal with Limerick in 2011.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, well, best of luck to Colin at the weekend. We'll try and keep an eye on it if we can at all. I know there's no coverage of it really, but we'll see. We'll wait eagerly for the results. On it's Monday afternoon, you said, Matt, isn't it? Monday morning afternoon.
Monday morning, actually, Tom.
Yeah,
and
okay.
in the order of off, there's 12 in the final, and Colin is 10th off.
Okay, well, hopefully he'll know the path to victory in the Cooley Mountains, and he can find his way. It'll be tight, I'm sure, as it always tends to be. Wouldn't be much in it when they do eventually get.
Look, Tom, it's a matter of inches, really. Sometimes between the tops, and Colin has been so near. Like he could very easily be looking for a 4th title in a row, or 4th title. He's been very, very close on 2 occasions since he won it.
Yeah. Okay. Best of luck, Colin. Also, just to mention our friends at the Munster Wheelchair Hurling and Camogie, they were in action last weekend. I suppose they played this in basically a blitz format. They were victors over Leinster and Connacht, but were trumped by Ulster. And they'll head now next month, the 30th of August, about 4 weeks' time, head to Coleraine in a winner-takes-all final round of the league. So hopefully the lads will be able to sweep the boards in Coleraine and bring home the All-Ireland title. But congratulations and indeed best wishes to the connections there. And just to reiterate, the likes of Kieran Bennis, Stephen Casey, Darren Deneen, Cormac Downey, Morris Noonan, Gary O'Halloran and Ellie Sheehy are Limerick representatives on that from various different parts of the county. So we're extending our well done and indeed best wishes to you in the final round in Coleraine next month. Matt, I think that's all we have time for. I hope we've covered it all there. Folks, do get in touch. Don't forget the competition I mentioned. Just put in the comments who indeed is the current reigning Limerick Senior Hurling Championship. If you don't know it after the last hour and 50 minutes, have you been listening at all? Well, thanks a million. Thanks, Matt. Thanks to Donie.